Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the DCI. This is their part number 860-960 32D Universal Automatic Flush Bolt. This is used in both wood and metal doors, and this is a piece of equipment that is an automatic flush bolt, and the way that it operates is whenever you close the active door, you will automatically be latching your inactive door as well. So it doesn't happen often, but there are times when a client says, you know, I want that inactive door unlatched every time the door is open. Okay, why? Well, because I want to be able to move it. Okay, sure, that makes sense. Well, they make manual flush bolts for that. You can just reach up and flip over. No, I don't want to do that. I want it to be automatically unlatched. Well, there's a product for that, and it's the 860-960 or 862-962. You can buy it as an 860-960 as a single bolt, and then you can buy it 862-962 for two bolts, top and bottom. Some people don't want to have a manual action over a door. Some people understand that you need to close the active door, that you need to close the inactive door and then close the active door in order to get that secured. That's the way this works. Works great for a lot of people. Works great in the sense that master bedroom, pair of doors going to it. Okay, the doors are open all day long. The only time they're closed is at night. So they're only cycled twice. They're only closed at night, and active door closed, closed. That's fast. You want them both open? Open the active door, push the inactive open. Super easy. Super fast, super convenient. No flipping bolts over, no reaching down to unflip a bolt. So that's, and most people in that scenario with a manual bolt won't reach down and throw the bottom bolt. So this is actually, when you think about the application, very convenient for the user. There's no manipulating anything at all. It's not like you have constant movement all day long, where you have an inactive door that needs to be in the secured position while you're constantly cycling the active door. That wouldn't really be a great use for this. You would want a manual bolt. It just tips over in terms of, is it cycled very often or very little? If it's very often, go with a manual flush bolt on the inactive door. If it's cycled very little, go with the automatic style, because you can pull the inactive door closed and then close the active door. Okay, that's what this hardware is intended for. This is an 860-960. Part numbers that begin with an 8 by DCI are appropriate for use in metal doors. Part numbers that begin in 9 are good for wood doors. And this is an 8. This is a part number that has an 8 and a 9 in it, because it'll work in either a wood door or a metal door. So this is a single bolt, and here's what the bolt itself looks like. This is all that's going to be sticking out of the edge of the door. Bear with me one moment. Forgive me, there's a part here that I needed to see what was for. I had not seen before. So moving on, we've talked about where you're going to use it and why you might use it. There is extended description information down below. That's all also on the product information page, which is like a cut sheet out of the manufacturer's catalog. Universal automatic single flush bolt for use in wood or metal or wood doors. Patented. Opening active door retracts the top and bottom if you have bottom. Closing active door extends top and bottom bolts into the frame and sill strikes, locking an active door. Packaged as a complete set to be installed in a recessed or flush metal door or a wood door. Recessed or flush metal door. What that means is the top or the bottom of a hollow metal door, if you're installing it into that, can have an inverted channel. The top is generally flush, but not always. The bottom is generally inverted, almost always. It can be adapted to either scenario. Non-handed. Doesn't matter. Left hand, right hand, left hand reverse, right hand reverse. Grade 1, tested to 1,000,000 cycles. Low closing force with patented free-floating cams and swivel face to accommodate beveled doors. That's a reference to the cam or the lobe that sticks out here. That beveled face, that plate will adapt to a square edge door or to a beveled edge door, however you might need it to be installed. Okay. Override feature, which prevents damage to door or bolts should the bolt head be prevented from entering top or bottom strikes. So the way that this works is that this mechanism down here is pushed up on by this lobe that projects out. That's what forces the bolt to come up. If I were to keep my finger on that and then press, it will override so that you don't destroy the hardware. In the process of a situation where the floor strike is filled, packed, does not have the proper area in which to receive the bolt. If there's misalignment for some reason at the door and frame, and the strike or the bolt cannot enter the top strike, it will override. Positive high temperature latch. This has been tested for up to 3 hours in a 4090 door. If it's a wood door application, and hour and a half if it's a wood door application. So high temperature latch, yeah, 2,000 degrees, whatever a 3-hour fire test will, whatever temperature that gets to. Identical prep of latch, of only a latch bolt, creating a consistent appearance throughout the building. So what that means is this preparation in the edge of the door is the same preparation that you would have in a grade 1, grade 2, sort of commercial lock prep. So it's not going to look like an unusual prep. This will be easy for your door installer to be able to work. Will understand how to prep it. And that is, I believe, going to be the case at both the top and bottom of the door. It is. So you're going to do basically what's called a 161 edge prep in the top and the edge of the door. We'll go over the template in a moment. The prep adds stability to the wood door by eliminating the core removal at the corners, preventing delamination and or breakage. So what that's referring to is flush bolts for wood doors require a very large L-shaped preparation in the edge of the door. At the very edge of the door, if my hands here represented the top corner of the door, you're going to be missing a lot of material. What happens is delamination occurs because there's a very small amount of wood actually left. And to the point where in a wood door flush bolt, and that part number would be like a DCI 945. I have a video uploaded that will discuss that as well. That veneer will delaminate, and they actually want a screw run through the face of the door on each sides into the top plate so as to secure the veneer down to the door. Well, this sort of option doesn't get into that because you're not coring anything out of the edge of the door at all to set the possibility of a delamination. Engineered to function in high frequency areas with minimum maintenance. Well, it's grade 1, so they don't say that it's grade 1, but it's tested to 1,000,000 cycles, which would be grade 1. Trim packages are available to reduce inventory levels. What they mean by that is you're going to get the bolt material. Everything else is the trim package. You can order that in different finishes. US 3 for polished brass, US 4 for satin brass, US 10 for satin bronze, US 10B for oil rub bronze, US 26 for polished chrome, 26D for satin chrome, US 32 for polished stainless, US 32D for satin stainless, which is the one that we are working on here today, 32D, right, polished satin stainless. Fire rated up to 3-hour metal doors, hour and a half, 90-minute doors for wood doors. It is rated ANSI BHMA grade 1, okay? So 156.3 is the standard and is a positive pressure compliant unit. Let's bump into the product information and just touch on that, then immediately move into the template review. Okay, now on our page here on the site, and by the time you're seeing this, this page might look different. I'm sure that it will. Product information and template. Okay, by the time you're seeing this, you're probably going to see two different templates. The template that's currently listed, I think, is a 2011 version, and the one that came with the hardware is a 2012 version, so they'll both be here most likely. Product information link is an overview of everything that we've pretty much talked about. The fire rating qualification, you're seeing this as either a single bolt, or if you take them both together, now you're going to get two. It's the bottom line. They're identical. UL listed, certified, BHMA certified, two-piece patented design. You have this piece here, which interlocks to this piece here. Override feature we discussed. Low closing force takes less than 3 pounds of force to project that. That's nice because minimum requirement for handicap compliant closers would be 5 pounds. So that will, even in the most stringent of minimum opening force requirements, it will still work. Adjustable bolt rod heads, that means that you're going to be able to take the bolt and literally turn it on its threaded rod that's inside of there to project, to extend the length of projection here, okay, to suit your needs. Adjusted a 1/2 inch for clearance. Easy ordering, it's simple. This is a single set. Order a 862, 962 for a double set, then add your finish listed down here below. Your BHMA numbers are here. Can be ordered really either way. Made in the United States, in Michigan, in fact. Okay. Now let's jump to the template. The template is the 2011 version. I don't believe there's... Well, actually, no. Let's look at the 2012 version, which I have scanned here. Before we go over the template, I think we should do a visual review of all of the parts. You're going to get, just going through the template, top down on page 1, you're going to get a top strike, or a bottom strike as well. This will be used top or bottom. That's going to be 2 1/4 in length. It should be 15/16 in height. 31/32. They say that it is 15/16 is what they say. Okay, that's a strike. You're going to get your active door strike. Now this piece of equipment is 1 1/4 tall, and an 1 3/4, just shy on that, I suppose. Maybe not. This strike gets applied to the edge of the active door. Here's why. So this is the cam that every time the active door closes, it's going to hit that cam and force your bolt top or bottom, up or down, or both. This strike is meant to be the scar plate. So every time your door hits that lobe or that cam, it will force the lobe up. So you will apply this to the edge of the inactive door as it's shown. So be mindful. Installing this onto an 1 3/8 door, the strike's certainly going to be too long. Could you forcibly make it fit? You could, but keep in mind you're not going to have much left over. This is intended for an 1 3/4 door because that faceplate is 1 1/8 wide is what it is. Moving down through the template, we're going to see to the right of the active door strike what the top of the door preparation looks like. We'll get to that when we talk about how to mortise it. Then we're going to get into the two-piece design. Here's your top or your bottom portion. That spring, okay, once you install your plate, and there's a D shape there. That's by design. That will keep that bolt from rotating at all. You don't want it to spin, unthread at all, which it has a tendency to do. Then it won't work correctly. So that's why that D-prep is there. Okay. I'm going to hold that in place. This is the portion. So what happens is when your door closes, it pushes the cam, forces the lobe up. The lobe makes contact with the slider inside of there. Nice, simple installation. Override feature. Yeah, I can pinch that down and I can still push that bolt in if I wanted to. On the edge of this, you will have your faceplate. And what they're saying about the easy prep is that both of these edge preps are 2 1/4 tall and 1 1/8 wide. That's what they're referring to there. Moving down a little bit further, in the template, they show us the riser, which is supplied. That's what you're going to use if you have an inverted channel, so that all of this can sit in that inverted top channel or bottom channel. Okay, you'll definitely need that if you have an inverted channel. Let's put a dimension on all of that. They say that it's 7/16, so it should be, you know, every bit in the range of a inch and 5/8. Pardon me, about 5/8 of an inch. Closer to 9. Well, yeah, about 5/8, which would make sense. You know, you probably want to know what your inverted channel is, but you do have that adjustment on the bolt should you need to tailor that to account for needing the bolt to hang a little bit long if your channel happens to be deeper than that, I suppose. The adjustment would come in on the bolt head length itself. Sliding down into page 2, they get into all of the dimensions of the work. The bottom of page 1 is going to be your mortise information. Okay. The bottom of page 2 really appears to be the same information. I don't see any difference. I'm going to say that page 2 is going to be the document that you would there was a problem with that document. It was showing page 1 twice. Took me a second to realize I was looking at the same page. Page 2 is corrected. Template 2012, page 2, then gives an idea of just what it looks like in a much cleaner drawing sense of installing the material. So page 1 is going to be, here's how you're going to prep the door. Page 2 is, here's how you're going to put the hardware into the door. On page 2, and we'll talk about that when we look at the template, but we've reviewed with that riser, you're going to get a couple of machine screws. Okay, so that'll be what you'll use to install that riser. That'll be made of steel. You're going to have combination wood machine screw screws, and then 2 plastic anchors. The plastic anchors will be used for the strike. You're going to need 2 screws for here. You're going to need 2 screws for here. You're going to need 2 screws for your active door strike. And indeed, there are 6 screws in that package. So that gives you everything you need. Now, let's jump to a template review. Okay, now we've talked about the dimensional properties of the material, and looking at the page 1, what's important to note here is you're going to do this 2 1/4 by 1 inch, and they're saying give yourself an additional 32nd of an inch in the mortise. You know, what I like to do is to have the when possible, have the hardware and put my caliper on it to make sure of what the actual size is, and I generally machine it to that and make any adjustments on subsequent preparations. So you know that you're doing a 2 1/4 by 1 1/8 plus a 32nd prep in the edge of the door, in the center line of the door itself. You're going to do that same preparation in the top or the bottom of the door as well. You're going to see the 1 1/2 back set from the edge of the door to the center of this hole that will be 1 1/8, and you're going to drill that 4 5/8 deep. 1 1/8 hole, 4 5/8 deep, get all the way down to this cavity. The hole in the edge of the door is 1 1/8, 1 1/8 diameter, 2 1/4 deep. You'll have 2 intersecting holes. Your outside corner here is preserved. That's where that little screw would go to if you had a wood door style flush bolt. In a hollow metal door where you need the riser, it's going to look like this. Just imagine that being the same at the bottom as well. Okay, so we know we're doing 2 1/4 by 1 1/8 here and here, 4 5/8 from the top of the door to the center line. So you can do your 2 preparations, top of the door, bottom of the door, and your edge. You can then get your 1 1/8 bit, drill your bore straight down here and in the edge here. Now you've intersected. The only other thing that they've not told us is how deep, how thick to make the preparation, and it's right here, 5/32 of an inch for here, and here, 5/32 of an inch. That is completely standard preparation on a cylindrical lock set, or a tubular lock if it's 1.125 wide. A hollow metal door will have to have these reinforcing tabs. That's just a regular preparation. Nothing unusual about it. I don't see anything else to discuss here. They have other dimensions that don't apply to prepping the door. These holes that you'll certainly want to pre-drill if it's a wood door application. Okay, gives you an idea of where your tabs need to be if you are installing this into a steel door. Okay, we talked about the active door strike and your bottom and top strikes. Let's get down to page 2, the correct page 2 this time. And that shows what we're dealing with. Get that top portion pushed down into the door. Make sure your bolt, before you secure it all together, well, you probably need to secure it together and maybe disassemble it if you find that the projection of your bolt is inadequate. If there may be a tie, a zip tie, holding your faceplate and your body together, if there is, remove that. Get that all pushed down. And then simply pre-drill your holes and secure that. I would leave those screws about 1/2 of a turn loose so that when you insert the edge portion, you can get it to lock together. And I had just showed you what that looks like sliding together. Okay, so I misspoke. Do not secure. Get that pushed down into the door, the edge prep coming in, then test your projection. Secure that only after you know you've got good projection coming out of the edge, the top and bottom of the door. Okay, you could also just simply hold it in your hand, I suppose, and test it, but that's how they're saying to call it out. Okay, this portion goes in loose. This portion comes in. Test your preparation. Once you have made any adjustments to the bolt itself, secure your finished plate. Now, there's a bottom firebolt that's available. A bottom firebolt is a device that is installed into the active door. Pardon me, the inactive door gets the firebolt. The active door gets the plug. What happens here is, if you were installing one of these at the top only, and you were doing a fire-rated application, you would have to have a firebolt installed. When the temperature at the doorway hits the mid-200-degree area, there will be a device that explodes, so to speak, out of the end of this channel, puncturing a hole through the cap and securing the inactive to the active door. That's how the door will remain in the secured position in a fire event. Who would use this? Well, anyone who does not want to have a bolt at the bottom of the door, which really means anyone who does not want to have a strike prep in the floor. The prime client would be a hospital. They want no piercings into the floor. They don't want to have any scenario where they are creating an environment by which the floor can become and remain dirty. You might also want this in a residential application. If you have an application where you might have a floor that you can't drill into, if you have heating in your floor, you certainly wouldn't want to drill into that. Or just any sort of floor type that you don't want to prep into. You might not have the ability to drill or to prep a rectangular hole in tile. So you're probably going to think about skipping that bottom bolt. Now, in that application, you certainly wouldn't need a fire bolt, but if you had a pair of fire doors, you would. Okay, that covers the discussion of the fire bolt. I think the installation of this is clearly simple and straightforward. You don't need many tools. You need an 1.125 bit. You need your router that will give you 2 1/4 by 1.125, 5/32 deep. You just have to know your back set at 1.5 and 4 5/8. Top or bottom of the door to the center line of here, and you're done. Let's finish up this video. Now, the name DCI is synonymous with flush bolt hardware, absolutely synonymous with it. They manufacture a comprehensive offering of products like this that you are going to see installed in lots of places, and a lot of people like DCI. The reason that I do is because it's a very good quality product, number one, backed by exceptional customer service, number two, very prompt, predictable, reliable shipping lead times. That stuff just gets shipped out. They're excellent at doing it. And good quality customer service, technical support. They're just great every time you talk to them on the phone. They understand their product thoroughly, and their inventory is pretty good and deep. And I would really recommend that you take a look at them because they really keep the purchasing of much trim and auxiliary hardware to be just simply no nonsense. And that's not how every company operates, unfortunately. So very much no nonsense. There is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page within our site where you can pull up not only all of the DCI products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you're not familiar with their name, don't let that put you off. They are on par with every other manufacturer of trim and auxiliary, for sure, guaranteed. Not ever a quality problem with them whatsoever. Review their catalog. They also have a line of exit devices by the name of PanX. If you've ever seen that name come up on plans and specs, that's DCI. They have a unique offering of an exit device that you should review. That device has been specified in lots of different applications. Alarm exit devices, and they do a great job with that material as well. Some electrified hardware too. Take a look at it. Any questions on the 860, 960 automatic flush bolt or any other DCI product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.